Hello, dear friends. Sometimes I have to juggle to fit the terrestrial information with that coming from spiritual sources, but today they match like a glove. Everyone wants to restart the economic system because it is in coma and works with assisted respiration, but each one tries to take the ember to his satin, or rather tries to make the change according to his interests. Opinion piece. Global insolvency. They are running out of money. This looks like the end of physical money. The Fed prepares for a digital dollar. The economy is starting to collapse. Insolvencies to grow 33% by 2022. They want to restart the system because it is dead. The Wall Street ends lower on nervousness. Economic authorities juggle. IMF downgrades global growth outlook. US avoids debt default and postpones it to December. Earth is a dualistic planet capable of harboring treachery. Live for the sake of others, but protect yourself. Vatican enforces its diplomatic immunity over abuses. IMF says Bitcoin is not a substitute for a national currency. Evergrande defaults on $148 million interest payment. China liberalizes coal price to address energy crisis. Planetary crucifixion will lead to the resurrection of humankind. Just like in the alchemy, first they crucify gold and then resurrect it. Let's start. Banks are running out of cash. Some ATMs are empty and some banks are limiting how much and when customers can withdraw, so that bank supplies have become haphazard. With the old money reduced, the situation becomes difficult for anyone who wants to finance false flags around the world. End of physical money. The end of physical currency is near. Physical currency and cash will soon be a thing of the past, said Eswat Prasad, professor of economics at Cornell University and author of The Future of Money. In quotes, the end of physical currency, cash, is certainly coming, and cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, have certainly paved the way for that revolution, said Prasad. The Fed is preparing to launch an overhaul of the central bank's digital currency, which could make cash and privacy obsolete. For years now, and in response to similar projects at central banks in Europe and, more importantly, China with the People's Bank of China, the Federal Reserve have been dithering over whether to create a Fed coin. Senior officials have been rather testy as they carefully weigh the pros and cons of a system that would, in theory, allow the Fed to deposit money directly into the digital wallets of ordinary citizens, a power that could ultimately turn the entire economy into an obsolete banking system. Insolvency. Global insolvencies will grow by 33% in 2022. Crédito y Caución forecast that global insolvencies will grow by 33% in 2022. The still low level of corporate bankruptcies this year is due to the extension of tax measures in many countries and the continuation of moratoriums on the application of bankruptcy legislation. By region, 2021 already sees an increase in insolvencies in Europe. Business insolvencies will increase by 26% in Spain by the end of 2022. Business bankruptcies in Spain will increase by 26% by the end of 2022 compared to 2019, while globally they will increase on average by 33%. Specifically, so-called zombie companies, those that are financially weak, are expected to materialize their bankruptcies in the fourth quarters following the end of fiscal stimulus. Insolvency is the inability of a natural or legal person to meet its financial obligations. In other words, it shows its inability to repay now or in the future the debts it has incurred or plans to incur. When a company is insolvent, it faces a serious problem. It has debts and cannot pay them. In addition to having no liquidity, it is also unable to respond with its assets. Quantum financial system. Ashtar says the bad guys are running out of money, are low on resources, and are trying to get more money from the population because they can no longer print promissory notes. The coalition is waiting for them to run out of money because when they want to turn the economic system around it's because their system is dead. That is why the QFS is helping to avoid funds for wars. This explains why there are far fewer chemtrails over the skies. So it should improve our health because they save their chemicals for special occasions like solstices or portal openings. He adds that the galactics are interfering against the population's mind control technology, and that is the reason why many people are waking up from their mind-controlled sleep. The QFS quantum financial system can hack and crash any bad guy's computer anywhere on Earth. They want to prevent a new group of thieves from emerging to replace the ones that have already been stopped. There are some already working on the QFS system, but it has a fifth dimensional access code system, so they will not be robbed. Any money used for self-gratification will be stopped. They should only be used to help others. The quantum financial system is not just a computer, but a computer system. But the main computer is on the New Jerusalem ship. The more quantum the world becomes, the more it will become free of the dark side. They cannot hack this technology, and it is far superior to anything they have been using on Earth. He explains that Facebook was taken offline the other day to send a message to the dark side. They have also dismantled human DNA labs all over the planet, as well as their time travel technology, and portals to other dark worlds have been shut down. Earth, being a dualistic planet, is still capable of harboring treachery. Obviously, it will get better the higher the frequency with which the planet goes up, but even now there are some who have attempted to hack into the quantum computer. They have been arrested. The computer system also protects itself. The quantum computer system is a tracking system and is being programmed to look for the frequencies of certain people. One of the reasons why clones were created, and one of the jobs of biotechnology, like biosuits, is to confuse the tracking system. But just as your tracking system does not register you as a higher dimensional light worker, your BIOS switch can confuse your quantum systems into thinking you are an ordinary person. This quantum system has as its first priority the protection of the people it oversees, and secondly, its own protection. The same as a galactic human. It lives for the sake of others, but also protects itself. This is an idea of what this wonderful computer does, that is helping the people of Earth now, and you are beginning to experience what it's capable of doing as the internet is hacked, programs are shut down, and money is redirected back to the light. There are so many things it can do that it has not even begun to show you its true capabilities. Planetary crucifixion will lead to the resurrection of humankind and stoppable cosmic awakening, according to Mike Adams. But just as Jesus rose from the dead and revealed the miracle of resurrection, humankind will also experience resurrection and rebirth after the attempted crucifixion. By trying to kill humanity, they have pushed the human species to a place where it can materialize its own miracles. Resurrection is the awakening, and it is near. The awakening will reveal so many layers of truth and discovery that the vast majority of humans living today will not be able to process what will be revealed to them, just as it happens in the alchemy. They first crucify gold with aqua regia and then resurrect it. Economy. US avoids debt default, but will again face the abyss in December. With the final approval of an initiative in Congress of the US on Tuesday, avoided defaulting on the national debt as of October 18, when it was to run out of funds, but we'll have to discuss this problem again before December. Wall Street ends lower on jitters. Stocks closed lower Tuesday, extending late losses as investors grew more nervous in the run-up to third quarter earnings, while a jump in Tesla shares helped support the market. IMF says policymakers must juggle continued support and risks. Policymakers around the world are entering a complicated phase of crisis recovery and must be careful to provide continued economic support without promoting instability in financial markets, the International Monetary Fund warned Tuesday. Forecast. IMF downgrades global growth outlook. The International Monetary Fund on Tuesday downgraded its global economic growth outlook, noting that while advanced economies are poised to recover in the near term, the IMF updated its world economic outlook, lowering its 2021 growth forecast to 5.9% from 6% in its July forecast. It maintained its growth projection on 4.9% in 2022. IMF downgrades Spain's growth forecast to 5.7% in 2021, but will lead the recovery in 2022. Spain's gross domestic product will register growth of 5.7% in 2021, according to the latest forecasts in the International Monetary Fund, published on Tuesday, which represents a downward revision of 0.5 compared to its previous estimate, disseminated in July. The IMF optimistic about the recovery of the Americas despite high inflation. The International Monetary Fund released positive data on Tuesday about the recovery of the economy of the Americas in 2021, despite the high inflation expected for this year in this continent. The fund raised to 6.3% the growth forecast for Latin America in 2021, half a point above its July forecast, thanks mainly to the good development of the raw materials export sector. This improvement was due to the fact that most countries, including Chile, Argentina and Colombia, saw their growth prospects for 2021 revised upwards. Vatican applies or implements diplomatic immunity over abuse. The Vatican enjoys sovereign immunity that protects it from sex abuse lawsuits in local courts. The European Court of Human Rights ruled after 24 people claiming to be victims filed a case. On Tuesday, the court dismissed the case brought by 2,000 people claiming to be survivors of child sexual abuse at the hands of Catholic clergy in France, Belgium, and the Netherlands. Cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies post 8 straight weeks of buying. Cryptocurrency products and funds attracted $226.2 million in investments last week, marking their 8th straight week in inflows, a report from digital asset manager CoinShares showed Tuesday. Record growth forecast from Elon Musk's favorite cryptocurrency. Justin Bennett, analyst and cryptocurrency trader, believes the price of Dogecoin could grow by more than 1,000%. Doge is doing what it does best. The last two breakouts generated gains of 1,000% or more. The last round of consolidation lasted 3 times as long as the pattern that preceded the April breakout, which was profitable by 1,200%, explains the crypto analyst. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon questions the limit of 21 million bitcoins. Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Bank, claimed that the cryptocurrency may not be limited in quantity, but the Bitcoin code clearly states that the maximum number of coins is 21 million, and the community is unlikely to move to change that. The price of Bitcoin was hovering around $57,000 on Monday morning. IMF says Bitcoin no substitute for a national currency. The International Monetary Fund says cryptocurrencies can pose challenges to global market conditions and recommends against using them to replace a national currency. China. Evergrande defaults on $148 million in interest payments, sending China's markets plummeting. Chinese property giant Evergrande has defaulted on a total of $148 million in interest payments it should have paid bondholders as of noon on Tuesday, Hong Kong time. High-yield bond markets were rocked amid financial pressure on the Asian country's construction industry. China has capacity to address Evergrande's situation. China has the capacity to address problems related to China Evergrande Group's indebtedness, although there is a risk it could increase the developer's pain and cause broader financial stress, the IMF said in a report. China liberalizes coal pricing to tackle energy crisis. China said Tuesday it will allow coal-fired power plants to charge some customers market-driven electricity prices as a worsening energy crisis persuaded authorities to hasten their boldest reform on the power sector in decades. China launches major audit on country's financial system to root out corruption. Beijing announced a major inspection of financial regulators, insurers, bad debt managers, and its largest state-controlled banks. The 2-month scrutiny is expected to root out corruption in the nation's $54 trillion financial system. I mean dollars. Afghanistan. G20 pledges aid for Afghan humanitarian crisis at a special summit. The group of 20 major economies is determined to tackle the humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan, even if it means having to coordinate efforts with the Taliban, Italian Prime Minister Mario Draghi said Tuesday after hosting an emergency summit. UN calls for money for Afghanistan. The international community must find ways to inject money directly into Afghanistan's economy to prevent its total collapse as a growing humanitarian crisis affects half the population. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said Monday. Ethiopia launches ground attack against Tigray rebels. Ethiopia's national army launched a ground offensive against forces in the northern Tigray region on Monday, the region's rallying Tigray People's Liberation Front said. Curious. Paul McCartney reveals who was responsible for the breakup of the Beatles. In quotes, "I didn't instigate the split. Our Johnny did," said the versatile musician, quoted by The Guardian. McCartney reiterated that the main driver of the breakup was Lennon. In quotes, "John came in one day and said, 'I'm leaving the Beatles.'" Attempts to sell nuclear submarine data hidden in a sandwich. A U.S. military engineer put classified data on nuclear submarines up for sale, and when he thought he had found a buyer, a foreign government official, he didn't realize he was talking to an FBI agent. Airbus tests a drone capable of staying aloft for 18 days at a time and could extend its lifespan to 6 months. Airbus has successfully completed 2 flight tests, each lasting 18 days, of its Zephyr drone, which runs on solar batteries and could spend up to several months in the stratosphere. The unnamed aircraft could be used to provide internet connectivity as well as for military and emergency management purposes. A group of Star Wars enthusiasts in Yakutia province in northern Russia have recreated an X-Wing starfighter, which first appeared in the 1977 film Star Wars: A New Hope. Astronauts simulate life on Mars in an Israeli desert. In a 500-meter deep crater lost in the middle of the Ogre Negev desert, astronauts in space suits walk slowly to simulate the conditions of life on Mars in southern Israel. Radio signals from distant stars suggest hidden planets. Using the world's most powerful radio antenna, scientists have discovered stars that unexpectedly emit radio waves, which could indicate the existence of hidden planets according to nature astronomy. In search of giant trees hidden in the depths of the Amazon. The last giant tree found is 85.44 meters high. Among the secrets hidden in the Amazon are giant tree sanctuaries that seem to compete to be the tallest. Surrounded by exuberant fauna and flora, they grow in virgin areas deep in the jungle, never visited until now. 2 men lost at sea for 29 days, surviving on rainwater and coconuts, say it was a nice break from the world. Despite the harsh circumstances they endured, the protagonists of this story have seen a positive side to the isolation they spent nearly a month in. 2 men from the Solomon Islands were rescued safe and sound after being lost at sea for 29 days. While adrift, Levi Nagikana and Junior Oloni traveled more than 400 kilometers before being found by a fisherman on October 2nd off the coast of Papua New Guinea. The magic mirror used by Queen Elizabeth I magician John Dee came out of Mexico. Scientists have discovered that the mysterious magic mirror used by an advisor to England's Queen Elizabeth I to look into the future had Aztec origins. John Dee communicated with his angels using a so-called spirit mirror made of polished obsidian. The volcanic rock from which the mirror was made originated from Pachuca, Mexico, a popular source of obsidian for the Aztecs. Life Science notes, this mirror, now part of the collection of the British Museum, London, is polished on both sides and is almost perfectly circular. The object measures about 18.5 centimeters in diameter and is 13 millimeters thick. Its weight is just over 880 grams. Ancient Factory exposes secrets of wine making in the Holy Land. A 1,500-year-old wine factory, the size of a modern saucer field, had been unearthed in Israel, showing how winemakers met the demand for high-quality white wine popular throughout the ancient world. Seeds more than 2,000 years old planted and germinate. Researchers have successfully germinated ancient tree fruit from seeds dating back more than 2,000 years found at archaeological sites in Israel's Judean desert. They were able to grow date palms, Phoenix datilifera, from seeds dating back to the kingdom of Judah, which emerged in the 11th century before Christ. It was famous for the quality and quantity of its dates, praised at the time for their large size, sweet taste and medicinal properties, according to the article published in the journal Science. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.